So, hi everybody, and welcome to another suddenlycomics.com video. And I'm delighted to say it's another of our Monday price variants. And today we are doing science fiction. So this is, as usual, this is part two of our show. Part one is on Allan's channel, and I will put the links to that down below so you can go and watch part one. I think it's a particularly good one. There's some really, really nice comics to look at, and unusual ones as well on Allan's show. So, as I said, today's show is science fiction, and as always, the guest goes first. So, Allan, would you like to show us some science fiction books?
So, I'm going to do the obvious one, just keep it really obvious. When everyone thinks of sci-fi, they always think of this comic. You know, at least I think they would. So I think it's, to me, this is the most obvious sci-fi comic out there.
I worked hard to avoid it.
So good. I kept it pretty obvious. I'm like, not so original, I guess. But this is, a really great.
And is that 9.0?
That's a 9.0. Yeah.
Very nice. That's a really clean copy.
Oh yeah, it's really nice. Actually, this is an old label. I have a feeling that it would probably be like a 9.2, 9.4. Like, it is really flawless. Actually, I don't know. They were pretty hard in the old versions of CGC.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can get grades a little bit easier, I think. So if it was cleaned and pressed, probably get that 9.2, 9.4.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with it. I'm not going to crack it open or anything. I'm not that I'm a bit risk averse, actually. But yeah, it's got off-white to white pages too. So it's a nice one. This is, to me, the series that, really got me into sci-fi in general. Not really this one. There's another one I'm going to show as well, that even more so. But this was the first movie I wanted to see, but I was not allowed to see. My parents wouldn't let me see it. I cried. I was so sad. So yeah, I was too young. My parents said, "Oh, you're too young." And my babysitter was mean. She made me cry. And I was like, I couldn't get to go. I was so sad. So to finally get it, I was super happy.
It was 77, wasn't it?
1977. I was 4 years old. So I was just a baby. I was pretty young.
Yeah, well, I was just in my first year at university, so I went to see that when I was at university. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it was pretty major. Yeah,
it was. It was a really good. I came out raving about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved it. I loved it as a kid, right? So I think I watched it 50 times, right? So that kind of level. So this is number one. I figure I always like bookends. Having the first issue and the last issue. So. Actually, this is my spec in a way too, because I actually recommend doing this where you get the first and last issue. So this is actually my spec in a way, because what I'd recommend is you pick up the last issue. This is much rarer. It's actually what happened was as they kind of printed, they kind of wind down the printing, and you get that kind of effect.
Further away from the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And you also get that effect where, it was 107 issues in the series. So it was kind of fading towards the end, right? It was not as popular. And it's a great last issue. It's got, it's got them all on the cover.
Yeah, no, I like that.
It's a great cover. And yeah, I really like it, actually.
Yeah, and as you say, it's actually going to be a lot cheaper than issue one, and also probably a lot rarer.
Yeah. So it's one that I think is a little bit undervalued. I actually picked up the whole entire series. I'm that kind of person. So I have the complete series, but I really, the ones that I got slabbed, I only have three slabbed, and it's one and this one, and then the one with, what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? This guy.
Landau. Is it Landau?
Lando Calrissian. Lando Calrissian. Yeah, I have his first appearance slabbed as well. So those are the only ones I have slabbed. The rest are all raw. So, but there's some pretty major books. Actually, I'd recommend the whole series in terms of collecting it. They Comic Tom just recently mentioned some random book, and I was like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that was anything special. But it was like something in the series where all of a sudden that's a hot book, and it's funny because the key issues are really like have gone crazy, right? But there's a lot of in-between issues where new characters are introduced and people just don't realize, and they're actually pretty cheap. You can like get them for like $5-10 kind of level.
So in terms of comic collecting, I never collected the Star Wars comics historically. Back in the day when I collected comics, I never got Star Wars.
Yeah, me either, actually.
And, I bought quite a big lot of Raw. I think it was about 30 of them from the mid part of that run,
Okay.
And they weren't expensive, I paid
50
or 60 quid for 20, 30 comics,
Yep, that's the same as me. I did the same thing. I bought 3 lots like that. So I had a good chunk of the series, and then I just had to get a few little ones,
Yeah. So when I was very young, one of the first television series that I really loved was Star Trek. So
okay, so we did this on my show, and now we're going to do it on your show, where we're going to have a bit of crossover, I think. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Well, it was almost inevitable. I avoided Star Wars, but I couldn't avoid Star Trek. If he forced me to choose, I would choose Star Trek over Star Wars. The original Star Trek.
Yeah.
Jean-Luc Picard is not bad in Next Generation, but then after that, it's all pretty much rubbish.
It's been down oh wow.
So this is the Gold Key Star Trek series. You're going to have the same thing, aren't you? but yours is probably rarer than mine because yours isn't signed by William Shatner. So
I wish it was, but yeah. I'd rather have your copy.
Well, he signs a lot of them. So if you look at the census, nearly 30 or 40% of these are signed by William Shatner.
Oh, wow. That's funny. That's funny because everyone will take their first thing to him. Yeah, it makes sense.
And he's been around a long time and he goes to a lot of conventions. So a lot of these are signed.
Yeah.
So this is a signed copy, yellow label, Star Trek #1. That's just that'll just stay in my collection until it'll be put in my coffin with me.
That's a great one. I really like that.
and of course I've done what you did on the Star Wars thing. I've collected all the Gold Key Star Trek issues.
So do you have the whole set too?
I think I'm missing about 3 or 4 of them.
I got the whole set. Yeah.
Have you got all the Whitman versions as well?
So some of them are not Gold Key, some of them were Whitman. So I but I have all the numbers.
You have all the issue numbers. Some of them are Whitman, some of them are Gold Key.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, they actually had for part of the run, instead of having Gold Key here, the Gold Key ones I think went to direct distribution, and the Whitmans I think were newsstand, but it might have been the other.
I believe so. I think you're right. When they kind of went that route where they had 2.
Yeah, so you can there's a number of the issues of this where you can have a Gold Key copy and a Whitman copy. I think the Whitmans are rarer than the Gold Keys.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right on that. But the weird thing is I think the Gold Keys actually go for more.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. The Whitmans are rarer, but people prefer the Gold Key. I don't know why, but that's just the way it is.
That's why we're on the start. I think this book is heavily undervalued, and this is the first Marvel. This is the first Marvel Star Trek.
I have that one as well. Yeah, that's a great one.
And this is this is 9.8, and this is really, really low cost. That this is less. I think I paid less than $100 for this.
Yeah. And that's signed as well. Like
that is not, but it's signed by Steve Lee Hoa. I don't even know who he is.
Probably the artist or the writer, maybe.
Yeah, it's just signed there in silver.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, it's still cool. I mean, it's a great comic. I have it as well, but mine's
not an old comic. This was 1983, so and I quite like the cover as well with Kirk and Spock.
Yeah, I picked that one up in the 90s. I have that one as well. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of interesting. So I'm going to show you a bunch of Star Trek since you showed it. So my number one, like yours, I would trade you if you want. Like mine's like a one. Like it's really, it's really rough. Yeah. And I really wanted this. So what happened was, like, this is back in the 90s. I kept on, telling my, my local comic book guy, how I really wanted Star Trek #1. I thought that was the coolest thing to own because I was a big Star Trek fan. And as I was saying, Star Trek was what got me into sci-fi, really. Star Trek, I loved the original series of Star Trek. I watched all the episodes. I even had a guide, like a special book, which was like an episode guide. And I'd read through that. I really liked Star Trek. I watched every episode maybe 10 times. It's like kind of a thing. But this copy, so my local comic book shop, the guy that owned it, the big guy, he had a massive collection. He had this big warehouse. Okay. So I got an introduction where I could actually go meet the owner of the company. And he brought me to the warehouse. Yeah. And he had this copy. And I'm like, okay, it looks like crap. Just look. But I knew it was, even back in the 90s, this was an expensive book. It was like, and I was like, oh, okay, how much do you want for it? And he was like a total jerk. He it probably should have been like $5 because it was just such a low grade. Yeah. But he charged me $50 for this comic. And I paid it because I was like so desperate to get it. And I was from a small town. It wasn't like the time of eBay where you could get anything you want for a reasonable price. Well,
it was probably the only time you'd ever seen it.
Only time I ever seen it. And it was like, we didn't have like conventions in my area. It was just a really rare comic. So I was like, okay, this is probably the only chance I'm going to get it. This guy's a total jerk, but I'll pay it, So I did pay $50 for this. And it's probably worth still less than $50. It's in pretty bad shape. So, but it's my only copy. I actually like it, even though.
Yeah, well, it's got some personal history with it, hasn't it?
Yeah. So then I got number 2.
Yeah, nice.
I love these photo covers. That's the big thing for me, like photo covers. Number 2.
Right, yeah.
Number 3 with Spock again.
Yeah, because number 1's got the photo cover on the back, hasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I should show that. But yeah, you're right. That's another great thing about the backs of these as well. Then
that's a really nice. I think that's really nice. I've got that one as well, and I think that's the first cover appearance of the Enterprise.
Maybe. Yeah, based on no, it isn't. Number 2 has number 1 has the Enterprise too.
Oh, does it? Oh, you're right. It does. Yeah, you're right.
So it's not.
It's not.
it's the third appearance of the Enterprise.
Yeah, it's a nice. So,
and there's 3 Enterprises on it, so that's how you know. Okay, so that's number 4, and then number 5.
Yeah, nice.
And then
some of these are not easy to find.
No. Actually, the first ones are pretty hard to find. And then this is the last issue, number 61.
Yeah, I've got that, and that is one of the worst covers.
Yeah, it's not a great cover. Actually, the later ones in the series, very bad covers. I really prefer the photo covers. I think they're like kind of had that charm to them. These later ones were, you could tell that they put their B-level artists on Star Trek. This copy for mine, it's like I think it's a G. It's like a really low grade. I paid like $3 for it. Yeah, it's not I didn't pay much for it, but that was the only copy that they had, so I went with it, right? So
so the story about these is so the cover's fine on these because they've got the photo covers.
Yeah.
Look at the artwork inside. It's pretty bad. They subbed this out to artists in Italy who did the artwork inside of these, who had never seen Star Trek.
Well, that's always good. That's a good start.
So yeah. Right.
Yeah, I mean, they're interesting. They're actually, their own little stories. They actually made an animated series of Star Trek as well, which is pretty weak as well. It's kind of iffy, yeah. So,
Have you seen the new one they've done, Below Decks?
oh yeah, yeah. That's like where it's talking about the
Netflix.
other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, yeah.
It's on its second series. I watched the first series. I quite liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. I'm not super keen on Star Trek right now. It's kind of gone a little bit wokey. I'm not a super fan of what's her name? The girl with Michael or whatever her name is.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, she's terrible. Like, there's a certain military element to Star Trek.
Yes.
And she should have been court-martialed and probably executed. That kind of level. I really, I thought she was like very disrespectful to the whole legacy of Star Trek. So
yeah,
that's just a personal feeling. If you love the series, good for you, but I hate it. So
no,
but yeah.
No, the last good ones were the Jean-Luc Picard. Picard was good. Did you watch the Picard miniseries?
No, I heard he was kind of minimized too, like where he wasn't really.
Okay, well, I thought it was all right, but I like the actor anyway, like Patrick.
Yeah. I really like Next Generation, even Next Generation had a lot of these kind of like social justice-y kind of stuff that I didn't like. I didn't like those episodes, but I liked a lot of the episodes where it was like kind of true sci-fi. Yeah. Like where they would get into the holodeck and do some kind of crazy adventure, or they would, have some kind of weird kind of alien element where something would mess up the whole crew. And, I like the one where they, Barclay, Lieutenant Barclay, he was, kind of a person that was afraid of everything, right? He's like this kind of neurotic, oh, I got some kind of contagion or I'm going to die of something or other. And he actually, by treating him, he actually gives a virus to the whole entire crew where everybody de-evolves, where they become like this primitive version and he becomes an insect, he becomes a, so I just thought that was kind of cool. I just really like those stories where true sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love, imaginative stories. So there were some really good ones in there. And I like Q as well. That was another character.
Q was always good fun. And I quite like I like the Borg episodes.
And the Borg were really great. Like, I am Borg, we're going to assimilate you and all that kind of stuff. I love that, So, yeah.
Well, I'm going to do a Guess Who for
okay, cool.
Allan. So the current score is 2-1, but I failed to get Allan's on his channel. So it's still 2-1. And if Allan gets this one right, and I think he might get this one, it's going to be 2-2. Okay, and this is sci-fi related as well. So I've done a sci-fi related Guess Who. It is Strange Tales 179. I think you're probably going to know this straight away.
Okay.
And it's the first appearance.
Oh, yep, I know who it is.
Who is it?
Pip.
You got it, mate. Well done.
Yeah, I know that one. I like that.
I thought you might get this one. First appearance of Pip the Troll. He's
Pip
not
the Troll. He's a cool character too. He's very cool.
And there are rumors that him and Star Fox are going to appear in the end credits of the Eternals. Setting up Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is the rumor.
So, I mean, Pip is a character that actually is kind of key. He's a kind of a key character, but he was never used. It's kind of sad. And I think, what's his name? Like James Gunn. I think he actually was a fan of Pip. So I could see it coming in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exactly. And it's Jim Starlin, isn't it? Yeah.
Jim Starlin.
Jim Starlin. And I think when the Thanos stuff was out, I saw an interview with him and somebody asked him, which of your characters would you most like to see on film? And he said Pip the Troll.
Yeah.
So
I think James Gunn liked him too. So I think there's a element where they're going to push for, it's sort of like Howard the Duck. Everybody, like all the Marvel people, like Howard the Duck, right? And they try to put him in every movie just in some kind of background scene just because they like Howard the Duck. I think Pippa's got that kind of element to him too. So yeah, I think he'll make an appearance.
Yeah, so that's the rumor, and if it's correct, that comic will shoot up.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good spec comic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I've shown it for. That's my spec pick for this show. Yeah, because I think it does appear in the end credits of Guardians of Galaxy 3. It'll rock it. I mean, it's a reasonable price already, but it'll go loopy.
Yeah, I think it's like a $5-10 book. It's not like crazy expensive or anything.
In high grade, I just checked it this morning. I think you're paying about $50-$60 for this now, high grade.
Oh, really? What? Oh, so it has gone up.
Oh, yeah.
I picked up a high grade one, maybe $5.
Go and check
that
it.
was like last year. That was last year.
So, well, that's a pretty good investment. They have gone up quite a lot this year, these Warlock related comics.
Yeah, that's just because of Warlock more than even Pip.
I think it's just gone up because of Warlock. The one after this 180 is the first appearance of Gamora, I think, but that's obviously cooled off a bit because she's dead. So
no, well, she's back. They always come back.
Oh yeah, well, okay, yeah. So
she came back. She came back at the end of Endgame.
Oh, did she? I missed that. Okay, so we got Gamora's back, is she? Yep, I'm sure you're right.
Yeah, Gamora's back. Yeah. She came back, remember? And she doesn't know anything, and she's got to rebuild her relationship with Star-Lord a bit, So yeah.
Okay.
So she's going to be back.
Right. So that puts us on 2-2. We're drawn again.
Okay, good. That's the way it should be. Right?
Have you got any more for us, Alan?
I could just randomly pick something.
Okay. I've got one here that I brought along, and this is similar because we've been talking about the Star Trek Gold Key stuff. We looked at Gold on your channel. I brought up Flash Gordon, and one of my other favorite series from Gold Key was
Dr. Solar.
Yeah.
And that's the first appearance too.
That is the first appearance, yeah. Again, earlier this year, I collected all of these Gold Key Dr. Solars. There's some fantastic covers on this series.
So I'm getting that next week. That it's in the mail, and it says it's gonna. Yeah, that issue is coming in the mail next week. So I'm just waiting for mine to arrive.
Yeah, and these have got nice. These have got wrap-round covers as well. Well, not wrap-round. The back cover is just a poster of that.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. I don't know why they did that, where it's the same front and back.
It's like a virgin cover, like what they do on the back. And that was the same on a number of, I think for the first 7.
There's a bunch, even Magnus was that way too. Magnus Robot Hunter has the same kind of
same thing. Yeah.
Has the same thing. Both of those are coming next week. So I'm super keen on those. So yeah.
But this whole series, and I collected all of these earlier this year. There's some fantastic covers, really good covers. This is actually one of the less good covers, to be honest, because it's they changed the artist. So the artist here, was Powers, a guy called Powers. In about issue 3 or 4, they changed the artist, and the covers get a lot better.
I mean that's a very cool cool comic. Is that a high grade, or is that like what kind of grade is that?
I would say
like a 3-4 range.
I think probably it's 5 to 6.
Oh, okay, so that's my grade. I think mine's a 3, somewhere around there.
No,
so that's actually a pretty high grade for Dr. Solar. That's a.
I mean, some of the other ones I've got are.
That's a pretty pricey book. It's gone up recently, actually.
Okay, I haven't checked it since.
I saw it on Heritage just recently. There was an auction for it, and it went above what fair market value was normally. So
and it's not. It's not a common book.
Not common. No. Yeah, it's not common.
If you start,
and there's collectors for it, right? So
and it's not. You won't see it everywhere. So if when I was looking for this, it did take me a few weeks to find a copy that I was happy buying at a price I was happy to buy. It's where you go on eBay and there's 20 copies up there.
But they're always crazy prices on eBay. I find it's pretty scary on eBay, the prices. But Yeah.
Uh,
Actually, if you can bear with me for 1 second, I
Yeah.
can show one last cool thing that kind of is interesting, maybe interesting,
Go
maybe
for it.
cool.
Go for
Okay,
it.
so you talk and I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Yeah, so I'm going to just briefly talk about this series from as when Allan is digging in his boxes. I'm going to recommend this series to you guys. This is a series from Pacific Comics, who put out some great content, and they did a series of comics called Alien Worlds. I think it went from number 1 to something like number 10. This is number 4, and this has got Dave Stevens artwork on it. So I do recommend you go and find these Alien Worlds comics. They're really, really low priced. You can pick up the whole run probably for $50. So I recommend this Pacific Comics Alien Worlds run to you. If you like sci-fi stuff, it's a really good pickup. It's like an anthology series.
Okay, so I want to bring one thing that I feel like we're talking about sci-fi. We're talking about, like, I always like history, right? So that's one of my things. One of the things that people don't realize is there was actually a sci-fi age of comics. So there's like the golden age, there's the silver age, there's bronze, copper, so forth, right? But there was actually an age called the atomic age.
Yes.
Which people don't actually remember. It's like they always lump it in with the golden age. But
I was going to bring that up when I was talking about on your channel, so I'm glad you brought it up. Carry on, sorry.
Yeah, so I feel like we should really mention it. Like, it's kind of a major age where sci-fi was kind of hot.
Yeah.
And pretty much everything, like if you look at some Batman at that time, if you look at everything, they would always have some kind of sci-fi element. It was really popular, and this is late 40s, early 50s, like that kind of era.
Yeah.
This is a Wonder Woman that kind of had that. So it's got the flying saucer in the background, and this is Wonder Woman 89.
That's
so
really
this is just sort of, this is like 1957. So this is like at the end of the atomic age, very end. So the atomic age was kind of weird.
It was like sort of after the Second World War through to the mid 50s, wasn't it?
Late 50s even. So so Wonder Woman 89 or 98 is considered to be her first Silver Age.
Okay.
Which was was later than this. And I think that's 1958. So this is 1957.
Yeah.
But the Silver Age is kind of weird. It starts at 56 for some things and starts at 58 for other. It's kind of weird. It's like, it's not like a set point that people would actually say. So this is considered atomic age. This is like an atomic age book, and you can just sort of see that in the elements of this sci-fi thing. Usually there's aliens or some kind of weird things. I was actually going to bring in the sci-fi genre. I was going to bring, I have a collection of EC sci-fi, like a whole bunch of them, that I could have shown. But that was the other thing I was thinking of bringing. But I had just so much stuff. I just didn't know what to bring. I just had too much stuff. But I figure we should at least mention the atomic age because it is.
So on your channel, I showed that Weird Planet, Allan Class Weird Planet stuff, which was reproduced. Quite a lot of the Allan Class stuff reproduces atomic age stuff from the USA.
Yeah.
From the from that sort of period in the 1950s. Here's another one. This is called Out of This World, and this is reproducing some atomic age American stuff. So that it often gets missed. People don't usually mention it. They
totally forget it. So
they go the golden age and they go to the silver age, but actually there was the atomic age for a period. And
the funny thing is, if you look at the early 50s movies, there was so many movies about some kind of the day the world stayed still or something like that. Day of the Triffids. There was the Mole People. There was so many sci-fi related movies at that time.
Cuckoos.
What?
The Midwich Cuckoos?
The Midwich Cookers. I don't know that one.
Cuckoos.
Cuckoos. Oh, okay.
Have you never heard of the Midwich Cuckoos?
No, no,
Oh,
no.
you need to go and check that out. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's maybe a good film. So yeah, the one that I liked was Invasion of the Body Snatchers and
Yeah,
stuff
that's
like that.
great.
So that was a big one for me. Yeah, I liked a lot of those sci-fi movies. Very, very cheesy a lot of the time,
Well,
you know.
I have to tell you, my most scary moment watching film was
Mhm.
I was probably about 12 or something, and I was at home by myself, so I was babysitting for my baby sister, so she was in
Okay.
bed. We'd got a black and white television, and my parents were out for the night, and I was sat on the floor and I was watching Day of the Triffids. Okay.
Oh yeah, it's a great movie.
Great
I
movie.
like it.
Anyway, I was sitting there, I was about 11 or 12, and I was like this. Anyway, suddenly, you know, in the Day of the Triffids, when the plant sort of flicks out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
yeah, it goes through the window.
I was there, yeah, as I was there, and suddenly this thing came out and hit me on my cheek, and it was my dog. Tried to lick my face, and I leapt up 1,000 feet into the. I've never been so frightened in my life.
Good timing on your dog, like dog freaking you out. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Here's a weird question. I'm not sure if you know the other movie, but do you know 28 Days Later?
Yeah, I do know it. Yes,
it's like a zombie movie.
Yes,
zombie movie.
yes.
Walking Dead.
Yes.
Walking Dead.
Yeah, no, I know it. Yeah.
Aren't they kind of a ripoff of Day of the Triffids? Because it's like, you know, a guy in the hospital, he wakes up, he's blind. You know,
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Yes, it is. The style very much is. Yeah.
There's that. It's very, like, to me, it was kind of a ripoff. Like, I thought, you know.
Yeah, no. Now you mention it, yes, it is. That's identical to the start of Day of the Triffids. Yeah.
And Walking Dead.
It's a good plot premise, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like, oh, you wake up and it's like, what's going on with the world?
Yeah.
So I always saw that. I was like, oh, this is like Day of the Triffids. I just always, you know, but anyway, so that's a great movie. Great movie.
I'm gonna put a little the Midwich Cuckoos. You must watch it. It's a classic.
Okay.
So
put the link in the description.
I'm going to put a link to the Midwich Cuckoos. It's John Wyndham, the guy who did write Day of the Triffids as well, I think.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, great. So, Alan, thanks very much for coming on my show. I'm going to put a link to Alan's show down below, and we'll see you all next week. Enough said.
Bye for now.